Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors die, just reacting to the Toronto Raptors 120-105 victory against your New York Knicks, Ryker. We got the return, the boys are back together reacting to a game where the Raptors are not only healthy, but looking nice. Ryker, we had a few games at the beginning of the season where we had Siakam, OG, and all these players, but the chemistry wasn't there. But after the health and safety, after all that, we're looking good. How are you feeling about this Toronto Raptors team right now?
Well, the quick 2-minute summary of this one, Ben. The New York Knicks, undermanned. Story of the season. The Raptors, fully healthy. Scotty Barnes, back. OG, back. Siakam, back. Fred VanVleet. Matt Devlin was calling him Freddie All-Star to the point of annoyance. It was a bit much, might I add.
Annoyance. Freddie All-Star.
But his comments held true because this game really, it was close enough in the first half, but then the start of the second until the closing minutes of that fourth quarter, regardless if it was the starters or the bench unit that was out there, dominance, utter dominance. The Raptors were getting it done on both ends. Nice basketball to watch. Great to start the new year with the W, Ben. Even if it's against my New York Knicks, this was a pleasure to watch. Except for no fans, very little criticisms of this one.
Yeah. Well, there's one criticism, because I agree with everything you said, but just one criticism of your opening take, Ryker, that Matt Devlin should have said Freddie All-Star more often. In fact, during the final alarm, incentive to stay on to this live stream, I'm going to be live tweeting a Freddie All-Star tweet, because I've made a few tweets. So I think I made a tweet during this game, because Matt Devlin shouted out the bing bong, and he was shouting out Freddie VanVleet. But Ryker, tonight, in this game, my goodness, Fred VanVleet, 35 points in this game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, 11 of 17 shooting, 7 of 13 from 3, shooting from way out behind the arc, knocking down those threes. He was getting to the lane. I've been talking about on recent podcasts how just over the past 2 months, right, the main criticism that we've had of Fred VanVleet's game is getting back when he gets inside the lane, he gets blocked a bunch. He can't finish over traffic. He can't finish into threes the same way Kyle Lowry could use his caboose and get buckets down there. That's why Lowry was an all-star. But now, Freddie VanVleet has mastered that. We saw him tonight get a bunch of buckets all over the basketball court. And if he continues to have games like this, Ryker, and the Raptors continue to make their push, because we're about to make our push to the playoffs, to top 4 seed, dare I say, Fred VanVleet better be an all-star, because he's looking fire right now.
It's tough the whole East is bad, as I stutter to say it, because it's weird. It doesn't feel right off of the tongue, but the entire East is pretty shocking this year when you have Atlanta towards the bottom and
That means
Boston towards the bottom. Right, the Raptors around the same. There's not a ton of teams that are high above that 500 mark. So the whole East is pretty bad. Typically, when you have a record that the Raptors have, you're not given an all-star, or it's a push to get one. They have to be that superstar caliber. So that's how I would argue that point. But if the entire East is bad and Fred VanVleet's dropping 30 Ps night in, night out, and doing it all around the court, like you said, I would give him the nod personally. And I've been the big opponent to the Fred VanVleet as an all-star camp because I don't think he's flashy enough. I think if you're a guard that can't dunk, it's tough to get that all-star spot because the whole all-star night and competition is just about bringing eyeballs to the screen. It's not about if you're a good player or not. It's about if you're a flashy player or not. But Fred VanVleet, credit to him, he's been slicing and dicing, getting crossovers and finishing all around the paint. So he should be an all-star this season for sure, Ben.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to pull up though what the scores are, and I'm also looking at you looking around the screen. I don't know if there's something going on,
I got you solo, and I think the Wi-Fi is being a little bit glitchy, but it's coming and going. The audio should be good, but it is what
all right.
it is.
Fair enough. So it's a new setup as well. My room is under maintenance, so it's not the best look of all looks.
I think
tonight,
you need to try out the background just to see.
All right, I'm flashing it here. You continue. Drake will pop up momentarily. Is it on?
I'm thinking that looks pretty fire. I think that looks like the way to go. But there's a lot of stuff that we gotta talk about with this game, and Drake is amped up for this game as well. I think this has gotta stay, Riker. I think this is the optimum background. But Riker, we also had a near triple double in this game. You're dead at the Drake stuff. But Pascal Siakam, people have been trashing on him. We got Joshy Ice to join the Pascal bandwagon. Riker, you got to hop on as well, because tonight, 20 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. I've been saying over the past few games, he's looking active. He's looking like prime Pascal, getting blocks, getting rebounds, doing everything out there on the court. And now his passing ability, that's shown to increase, and the assist numbers are coming up. He's getting boards, and the middy's looking good. He's actually driving to the rim and not taking less of those spin fadeaways in traffic, those 10-footers, and actually taking proper layups now. We're seeing prime Spicy P come back into the fold, and that's huge for this Toronto Raptors team going forward.
Prime Spicy P. Prime. 14, 20, 7 assists, 2 steals. Okay, fair enough. That's prime numbers right there. That's number 2 option behind Fred VanVleet numbers. I like that. The caveat, obviously, is that there's not a lot of defensive intimidation on this particular New York Knicks lineup.
He's doing it to everyone, Riker.
When you have M. McBride, I don't even know who M. McBride is. What is first? Miles McBride and Obi Toppin and a bunch of guys. Listen, I've never heard of McBride before in my entire life, Ben and RJ. A bunch of guys that aren't known for their defensive capabilities. However, it's like you said, it's being consistent now, at least for Siakam, for Fred VanVleet. And tonight should have been no exception, and it wasn't, which is the best thing to see. When they're complacent against the teams that shouldn't be very good, that's the most frustrating thing for a Raptors fandom, is when they take their foot off the gas. Tonight wasn't one of those nights. They played really good as a team. Pascal Siakam got it done, Ben. Is this trend going to last? Will we see now a stretch of wins in a time where wins are very hard to come by as Raptors?
Oh, we're getting the W's. We have the team back. We have the squad back together. When we have our starting unit ready to go, right? The big issue with this team, Riker, has been the bench. And now, we will talk about some of the bench guys because they're still struggling, but the fact that we got our core, our main front guys, Boucher's back playing well, I think it's only looking good. But before we sort of dive into the overall team, we do have to give out awards. So, Riker, can you sound off on a little drum roll, please? That's right, the Scotty Barnes Award tonight. It's going to none other than Scotty B himself. 13 points. 4 rebounds, steal, a block. Not the craziest stat sheet stuffing, but left his mark on this game, as he always does, right? Drove down the lane a bunch of times, made some great passes, made a couple tough ones, particularly in moments of the game where it didn't really matter. So he does have 4 turnovers, but you watch the eye test, it wasn't really that bad. And the same thing, Siakam had 6 turnovers, but I think 3 of them came in garbage time when they were just saying, oh, let's not get injured, let's not do this. But Scotty B had a moment where he hit back-to-back threes that really just crushed the heart of the New York Knicks. He was driving in, making the right dimes, and, as I said, 0 assists in this game, but made some of those hockey assists that really made it work, right? Gets those rebounds, gets those finishes around the rim, which are just almost inhuman, Riker. He jumps in the air, he has a solid vert, but then his arms just extend out like Giannis, and then finishes around people. I'm still in awe of this guy. It's nice to have him back on the court and back winning the award that he deserves, the Scotty Barnes Award, Riker.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. I'd like for him to be more aggressive. That would still be our major criticism of him this entire season long, is when he's shooting so efficient. Keep going. That shot is there in the lane. His reach, like you said, he can shoot over guys. Doesn't matter who the defender is on him. And his fluid shot from distance is looking nicer and nicer every game. I'm disappointed that he's been eclipsed on the rookie ladder by Franz Wagner.
Has he?
Yeah. So the guy on the Magic's
Franz
pick.
Wagner. He's been eclipsed by Franz.
Yep. Yep, he's second now.
Disgusting. That's disgusting.
Yep. So I need him to have a couple of big games because this award means more to me than it means to Scotty Barnes. It means the world. This award is my sun, my moon, my stars. I need him to get this, Ben. He needs to be aggressive.
Yeah, needs to get those stats up. But honestly, his stats have been solid. And the Raptors get wins. Get that Franz guy out of here because that's foolishness. I get Mobley because Mobley's on a better team and all that stuff. But Franz, I know he had a big game, but get out of here with that cheese. That's the only thing to call it. But Ryker, and there's one thing I do want to bring up because I guess we can quickly run through the other players. OG Anunoby had 14 points, but 12 of them came very early on. Didn't really do much in the second half, but really didn't need to. Played phenomenal defense, 3 steals, 3 rebounds, and OG set his impact on the game early and then just said, I'm gonna chill, let Freddie VanVleet kill it, Scotty Barnes and all those guys. Boucher, I thought, came in and played really well. He's not forcing it too much. Like, obviously, you'll get one ill-advised slingshot 3 for Boucher occasionally, but other than that, right, I thought he's driving, he's cutting well. We're not seeing those moments where Scotty Barnes is telling him to go somewhere and he's just staring at him. No, I want to shoot this contested 3 with 2 guys on me. We're not seeing that happen anymore. He had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Positive stuff, right? And the core guys are just looking good, right? And those are the players that are going to play. But Ryker, I was interested in Nick Nurse's rotations tonight. That's why I sort of bring up all the other players. And obviously we were talking about, right, you gotta, our 5 best players are Siakam, OG, Barnes, Fred, and Trent, right? Not in any particular order, but those are your 5 best guys. But the Raptors look really nice when there's a center out there. And Boucher's been playing well. Birch is obviously our most true center. Obviously, Achua has been struggling as of late, but we quickly inserted Birch into this game early on. And even though we still had our core starters and they got starting minutes outside of Trent due to foul trouble, most of the time we had a center out there with this unit. So the Raptors looked really good with those lineups on the court. Then we could rotate people through so we don't have an all bench unit out there. What were your thoughts on Nurse's rotations tonight, keeping a center out there with our core group of guys?
Yeah. That makes the most sense because there's going to be times where it's too much to ask on the defensive end for the center and have OG and Scotty Barnes being that rotation help defense and still have them guard perimeter shooters. It's going to be too much to ask because there's certain matchups where the opposing centers, the Goberts and the Jokic's and the Embiids of the NBA, they're just too much to handle for Siakam. So you want to make sure that you can still get offensive. What are you looking at so weird? What are you looking at, Ben?
Oh, I think we're good. You're still on the screen.
What happened?
I think we're lagging out, but let us know in the chat. The chat's still going. I thought it shut down, but we're going. We're good.
All right. So I was saying, Ben, basically you have some big boys, some big centers that are a bit too much for Pascal Siakam. So you want to make sure that you can still get offensive production when our proper centers are out there, Birch or Chua. So I agree with the sets because offense isn't everything. You need to make sure that you have your defensive guy out there. Not to say Birch is the stopper, but he's going to have to try to be, Ben.
Yeah, he's gonna have to try to be. They're saying play the Frozen animation. That's the Milky animation. It's fire. This is the Frozen. We're getting everything going. I might freeze up the stream a little bit more, but it should be good here now, Ryker. It should be good here now. The reason why the Wi-Fi is trash here today is because Newfoundland is currently in a gigantic storm. Right? There's a there's a bunch of the winds blowing. It's bluffing a gale out there, gusting a gale. I don't know any of these phrases, but
snow squalls.
What?
Snow squalls.
Snow squalls. Everything out there. So hopefully the Wi-Fi. Hopefully we don't get cut off. As long as the audio's good, we're chilling. Keep us updated there in the chat. But yeah, it makes sense to have our bigs out there running with our team, getting all that stuff rocking. But Ryker, we may as well swing into the segments because this is a fun game, I think, to get off the rails a little bit, some bing bongs going, hopefully before the stream crashes. And tonight, the spicy pea lay of the day. There was a bunch of moments it could go to. I already mentioned the Scotty Barnes back-to-back threes, right? Precious Achua has been struggling, but did have a nasty block at the end of this one. Not enough propaganda to at least throw it out there a little bit to the people there chatting. Ryker, do you have any other spicy pillets of the day?
No, Ben, I didn't. I had nothing. So you came in clutch there, but I did have an OGs. So we'll swing it into
not all plays can be the spicy pillet of the day. Some just make you say OGs. Sound off with the old OGs, Ryker.
Ben, Pascal Siakam, I think it was Pascal. He turned the ball over. Precious Achiuwa, he got out there, blocked Alec Burks. Pretty nice. Takes the ball. I think Scotty Barnes maybe turns it over again. Something happened. Then we get the ball up, turn it over again. There was 3 or 4 turnovers in a row. I get it. Easy game. You're up by 20. You're in the fourth quarter. You're in cruise control. But they're playing WNBA basketball out there, or worse, they're playing G League basketball or
the WNBA catching strays on this podcast right here.
They're gonna get all
the WNBA facts.
Well, it wasn't the season for it, Ben. I need to come up with a new gimmick. And I was really just thinking that there was one video in particular that comes to mind where there was 5 or 6 turnovers in a row, a bunch of missed layups under the basket. I think everybody's probably seen it before. It's a classic meme out there in the NBA space. So that's what it looked like. Wasn't a pleasure on the eyes, Ben, but I guess it wasn't as bad as the only Paul Pierce Golden Kazoo for worst performance in this one, Ben. Did you have anything in mind for that? It sounds to me like you've been biting your tongue to talk about the bench being less than what we hoped for. Is that what you're looking at, or do you have different ideas?
Well, there's no main kazoos going to the bench. They got a pass tonight because others are getting a bigger kazoo, but I will mention the bench. Hopefully he sort of gets his rhythm going because he wasn't even in the rotation tonight outside of the end of the game. Precious Achiuwa continues to struggle finishing around the rim and looking like he's going to be a bit more of a development project, and Birch and Boucher are going to be getting more of those center minutes, but that is what it is, right? He's a young guy, he's a young center, shows the potential. I'll continue spewing the propaganda. Watanabe was solid, nothing crazy. Champagny still looks like the best guy off our bench. Malachi Flynn didn't do much at all. But the bench is lucky, Ryker. The bench is lucky that they're not getting any kazoos, because I'm happy to say I have the ref apologist back on this podcast, because I'm about to go in on them, and not just for the Toronto Raptors, because they called some sus calls for the Toronto Raptors, fouled out Gary Trent Jr., right? There's sort of an unwritten rule of NBA basketball reffing, NBA or grade 3 basketball. If you have a guy that's, has a bunch of fouls early in the game, he's had 4 or 5 fouls late in the game, and he kind of touches someone, you probably let that one slide or give it to someone else. The ref's like, nah, we're gonna foul him completely. Right? We're just going to completely get him out of this game, which made no sense at all. They were all completely touch fouls, soft as anything. And then on both sides, there was a stretch during the game where every 15 seconds, soft, light, I don't know. I feel like the milky touch fouls were out there. Made absolutely no sense, the refereeing early in this one for both the Raptors and the Knicks. The game was just stopping. It looked like a big free throw fest. Right? I know you're the ref apologist, but that was just too much there tonight.
Let me defend the referees here, Ben.
Get out of here,
Benjamin. Let me defend the referees. You have a stadium with 0 fans and 0 noise except for the music that they're playing. The slaps are heard louder. The swear words are heard. The screams are heard louder. You're not being intimidated by a hostile crowd when you call those touch fouls. You're just officiating an honest game of basketball. And they decided early on, I'm going to call touch fouls on both sides because I'd like this game to just go with no interruptions. So if they're playing it fair, they're playing it even, and they're a little more attuned to the fouling that's going on, I think that's pretty reasonable for the referees. That's my apology on their behalf. Thank you very much. This was Ryker Richard, the referee apologist.
Still unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I don't know how you're apologizing over these guys. Absolute cheese. I gotta keep it. I was frustrated because usually, you can't blame the referees on the outcome of the game, and they didn't affect the outcome of the game, but they affected the outcome of my serenity, my peace, my happiness watching this game. So definitely throw in some kazoos at them, blowing the old kazoo. But Ryker, this fun game for the Toronto Raptors. I think it's time to go off the rails a little bit and sound off the final alarm. Woo 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 woo. That's right, the final alarm has sounded, and Ryker has the Drake background popping back up. We need to get these backgrounds raw. I think this needs to be a consistent staple. Just make it pure chaos. But as is tradition, a little like spike going for the final alarm as we're rocking out here. But Ryker, we see a lot of talk about Dragic in the chat so far in this one. People are saying trade Flynn for Dragic. Just send Flynn away and bring Dragic back. I'm not too hyped to get Dragic back on my team. Made a video yesterday on how I expect him to be bought out. You have any takes on Goran Dragic? Essentially, I don't know if you caught the news while you were flying and skiing and Christmas stuff, but Dragic has been practicing on the Miami Heat's practice court. He said he'd love to go. What? he said he'd love nothing more than to go back to Miami. The Raptors.
It sounds like he's already in Miami.
$19 million to not play for our team.
Oh man! Imagine getting paid by MLSE while the team is playing in Toronto, but being in Miami and practicing with Miami. There's something up there. Just release this guy already. And let me get a visual demonstration of what he probably wants versus what he's getting up in Toronto. This looks a little bit closer to Miami than Toronto downtown. So you can't blame the guy for that. It's unfortunate the way that it played out because we wanted to extract some value from Dragic and then either flip him at the deadline or keep him and use him in the playoffs. But obviously his play was so atrocious in the limited minutes that he had in the 4 or 5 games that he played before we benched him indefinitely. It was just virtually impossible to get anything from him value-wise to be able to trade him. So a payout or a buyout makes the most sense to me as well, Ben. We're on the same page with this one.
Yeah. And
while I relax in sunny Florida.
And the thing about a buyout too is you don't have to pay him that much, so more money comes, like you don't have to pay him the full $19 million. You come to a little agreement. So then if the Toronto Raptors want to sign another guy with the roster spot, they won't go over the luxury tax. So win-win. Win-win. Maybe bring back.
Now that said, I'm okay if they want to trade us back Hero or something and get Dragic if they want to give us something for it. I'm okay if that happens.
Yeah,
I would accept it.
Yeah, no, I think everyone would be happy to get anything of value back for Goran Dragic there in this one. But there's that. There's also, do you see the stuff with Kevin Porter Jr.?
No, what happened there?
Getting into more fights. Got into a fight with the assistant coach. Threw something at him. I think maybe a chair or something at a Houston assistant coach. Obviously was traded from the Cleveland Cavaliers for something similar, right? A similar incident. Apparently the guy has anger issues, but he is a star in this NBA in terms of being a guy that's solid. Right? I like the unicorn here. Right? Not to turn this into a stinky pinky pod, but maybe you should get that whenever we talk about Kristaps. But should the Raptors make a trade for Kevin Porter Jr., Dragic for KPJ?
No, he just got paid, didn't he?
I don't think so. Maybe.
I thought he got paid this year. I thought he got that big max deal.
Not Kevin Porter Jr., I don't think.
Oh, Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah, not
Oh, I thought you meant Michael Porter Jr.
No way we're trading for that contract.
Well, that's why I was like, why would you even suggest it? And also, how's he throwing chairs? Back injury. Maybe that's why he has a back injury. Okay, Kevin Porter Jr., the nuisance.
How is this guy?
Reaction. Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood is also in this. Did Christian Wood do something?
Yeah, he didn't want to take a COVID test, so.
Oh, God. What a nightmare that Houston Rockets team is. No, I don't want to. He obviously has a ton of upside on the court, right? Yeah. But we saw time and time again players like Lou Williams and stuff where their locker room antics and their personalities.
He's like a locker room guy. Just
he would show up with 2 of his girlfriends. He would put 2 of his girlfriends courtside.
Get out of here with that.
All right, fine. Rudy Gay.
Rudy Gay, I think, was a fine locker room dude. He was just
I think he got
didn't
traded for a
pass the
reason.
ball on the court. He was the guy
Okay.
that
It was on the court antics. That was the issue. Okay, well, there surely is off the court guys.
Yeah.
Do we have any issues? Who?
No, on our team? I think the Raptors. We're pretty good at signing in guys. DeLon Wright,
Pascal
wanted to be
Siakam
traded.
and Nick Nurse, but that's hopefully been wrinkled out.
Swept under the rug. But they're saying the stream is laggy. Yeah, we're in a storm. We're trying to host this thing in a little storm season, but that is what it is. Hopefully the new laptop's supposed to come in a week or so, and hopefully that can power through. I don't think that would have any effect on the Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi is bad for this one. It should be back in a couple of pods, but I don't know. It is what it is for this one here. We're in the final alarm. We got through most of it, but I wouldn't mind trading for Christian Wood and KPJ on the low, right? Trade while their value's low. Give them Dragic and maybe a young guy back.
I'd be trading for Christian Wood on the high. I'd give some good assets up for Christian Wood. He's a formidable player. He's a bit sizable. We broke down full video on him.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to have that man on the team. And if Kevin Porter Jr. happened to be included and we could play him for a little bit or not, then that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I'd assume that guy wants to get paid at some point as well. But anyways, Ben, I'm just reading through these articles on Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood. Christian Wood refused to sub in after halftime. Yikes.
Tough.
Ben, we're at the natural conclusion of this one, it seems.
Yeah.
Forced on by Wi-Fi issues. So if you want to wrap it up, then feel free.
Yeah, the Walmart stream, and hopefully we're good. Apparently we're supposed to get crazy storms the next few days, but I'm thinking it should be fine. If it's bad, we'll just do a pre-recorded and uploader. But you guys are the best to make this far. Check out the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter, all that cool stuff. Check out the merchandise. Also, channel memberships, they will be back. They will be coming. We have to talk to the NBA. They've been chilling. You know, the people at the NBA are just chilling till January 2nd, so we can't really do anything till, well, today's the 2nd, so I think tomorrow's the day we can actually start talking to them, tomorrow the next day. So then we can figure out the channel membership stuff. But I know people are missing the emojis and missing all that stuff to be able to go on in the chats. But you guys are the best for making this far, as I say on every podcast. We appreciate all you guys. Happy to be back. Happy 2022. Ryker, any last words on the Raptors? W?
Good win, good game. Bing bong.
Bing
Cheers.
bong.